Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Dhena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Welcome everybody. Hare Krishna. We're reading from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and this is from the Madhu Lila, Volume 4. The chapter number is 19. That's Madhya. Chapter 19. I just said the fourth volume. The Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Srila Rupa Goswami. Text 1. Before the creation of this cosmic manifestation, the Lord enlightened the heart of Lord Brahma with the details of the creation and manifested the Vedic knowledge. In exactly the same way, the Lord, being anxious to revive the Vrindavan pastimes of Lord Krishna, impregnated the heart of Rupa Goswami with spiritual potency. By this potency, Srila Rupa Goswami could revive the activities of Krishna in Vrindavan. Activities almost lost to memory. In this way, he spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of the Lord. After meeting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the village of Ramakeli, the brothers Rupa and Sanatan returned to their homes. The two brothers devised a means whereby they could give up their material activities. For this purpose, they appointed two brahmanas and paid them a large amount of money. The brahmanas performed religious ceremonies and chanted the holy name of Krishna so that the two brothers might attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very soon. Purport: a Purashcharana is a ritualistic ceremony performed under the guidance of an expert spiritual master or a brahmana. It is performed for the fulfillment of certain desires. One rises early in the morning, chants the Hare Krishna mantra, performs archana by the arti ceremony, and worships the deity. These activities are described in Madhya Lila, 15th chapter, verse 108. At this time, Sri Rupa Goswami returned home, taking with him large quantities of riches loaded in boats. Srila Rupa Goswami divided the wealth that he brought back home. He gave 50% in charity to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and 25% to his relatives. Purport: this is a practical example of how one should divide his money and retire from household life. 50% of one's money should be distributed to qualified and pure devotees of the Lord. 25% may be given to family members, and 25% may be kept for personal use in case of emergency. He kept 1/4 of his wealth with a respectable brahmana. He kept this for his personal safety because he was expecting some legal complications. He deposited 10,000 coins, which were later spent by Sri Sanatan Goswami in the custody of a local Bengali grocer. Sri Rupa Goswami heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had returned to Jagannath Puri and was preparing to go to Vrindavan through the forest. Sri Rupa Goswami sent two people to Jagannath Puri to find out when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would depart for Vrindavan. Sri Rupa Goswami told the two men, "You are to return quickly and let me know when he will depart. Then I shall make the proper arrangements. While Sanatana Goswami was in Gaudadesh, he was thinking, the Nawab is very pleased with me. I certainly have an obligation. If the Nawab somehow or other becomes angry with me, I shall be greatly relieved. That is my conclusion. On the pretext of bad health, Sanatana Goswami remained home. Thus, he gave up government service and did not go to the royal court. The greedy masters of his clerical and secretarial staff performed the government duties while Sanatana personally remained home and discussed the revealed scriptures. Purport: Sanatana Goswami was the minister in charge of the government secretariat, and his assistants, the undersecretaries and clerks, all belonged to the Kayasta community. Formerly, the Kayastas belonged to the clerical and secretarial staff of the government. And later, if one served in such a post, he was called a Kayasta. Eventually, if a person could not identify himself as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, he used to introduce himself as a Kayasta to get a wealthy and honorable position. In Bengal, it is said that if one cannot give the identity of his caste, he calls himself a Kayasta. On the whole, the Kayasta community is a mixture of all castes, and it especially includes those engaged in clerical or secretarial work. Materially, such people are always busy occupying responsible government posts. When Sanatana Goswami was relaxing and feeling inclined to retire from government service, many Kayastas on his secretarial staff were very eager to occupy his post. In this regard, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that when Sanatana Goswami was a government minister and the Kayastas who assisted him saw that he was reluctant to continue, they became very expert in their duties. Sanatana Goswami was a Brahmana belonging to the Saraswata Brahmana community. It is said that when he resigned, a subordinate named Purandara Khan, who was a Kayasta, occupied his post. Text 17. Sri Sanatana Goswami used to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam in an assembly of 20 or 30 learned Brahmana scholars. Purport: Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the following commentary on the word Bhagavata Vichar. As confirmed in the Mundaka Upanishad, there are two kinds of educational systems. Quote, there are two kinds of educational systems. One deals with transcendental knowledge, Paravidya, and the other with material knowledge, Aparavidya. All the Vedas, the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda, along with their corollaries, known as Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Chanda, and Jyotish, belong to the inferior system of material knowledge, Aparavidya. By Paravidya, one can understand the Akshara, Brahman, or the Absolute Truth. As far as Vedic literature is concerned, the Vedanta Sutra is accepted as the Paravidya. Srimad Bhagavatam is an explanation of that Paravidya. Those who aspire for liberation, mukti or moksha, and introduce themselves as Vaidantika, are also equal to those groups aspiring to improve religion, dharma, economic development, artha, and sense gratification, kama. Dharma, artha, kama, and moksha are called chaturvarg. They are all within the system of inferior material knowledge. Any literature giving information about the spiritual world, spiritual life, spiritual identity, and the spirit soul is called Paravidya. Srimad Bhagavatam does not have anything to do with the materialistic way of life. It gives transcendental information to educate people in the superior system of Paravidya. Sanatana Goswami was engaged in discussing the Bhagavata Vidya, which means he discussed transcendental superior knowledge. Those who are karmis, jnanis, or yogis are not actually fit to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. Only Vaishnavas or pure devotees are fit to discuss that literature. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, 12, 13, 18. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Yasmin Paramahamsyam Ekam Amalam Jnanam Param Giyate Yatra Jnana Vairagya Bhakti Sahitam Naishkarmyam Avishkratam Tachchinvan Supatam Vicharana Paro Bhaktya Vimuchendara. Although Srimad Bhagavatam is counted among the Puranas, it is called the spotless Purana. Because it does not discuss anything material, it is liked by transcendental Vaishnava devotees. The subject matter found in Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for Paramahamsas. As it is said, Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam. A Paramahamsa is one who does not live in the material world and who does not envy others. In Srimad Bhagavatam, devotional service is discussed to arouse the living entity to the transcendental position of jnana, knowledge, and vairagya, renunciation. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.12, Tashchadadana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya pashyantya manichatmanam bhaktya shrutagrahitaya. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. This is not sentiment. Knowledge and renunciation can be obtained through devotional service, bhaktya shrutagrahitaya, that is, by arousing one's dormant devotional consciousness, Krishna consciousness. When Krishna consciousness is aroused, it relieves one from fruitive activity for economic improvement and material enjoyment. This relief is technically called naishkarmya, and when one is relieved, he is no longer interested in working hard for sense gratification. Srimad Bhagavatam is Srila Vyasadev's last mature contribution, and one should read and hear it in an assembly of realized souls while engaging in devotional service. At such a time, one can be liberated from all material bondage. This was the course taken by Sanatana Goswami, who retired from government service to study Srimad Bhagavatam with learned scholars. So what did you hear so far? Anything you heard, yeah?
Highest communities are mostly clerical and secretarial posts.
The which communities?
Kayast.
The Kayastas, yeah. The Kayasta communities are mostly.
You have to contribute, donate 50%.
So the formula was 50%, you have to give 50%.
25% to relatives.
25%. 50% to family, 25% to family,
50%
to Brahmins and Vaishnavas
25%
for the marathon, Prabhupada marathon. 25% to relatives and 25% for personal emergencies. Nice.
A question.
Yes, Prabhu?
Why you decide is relatives? Because they may not be devotees or something.
Why does it say
Why is
relatives?
How do you decide?
Oh, I said which relatives to give it to?
Yeah.
Because in India you have so many cousins. You have 50 cousins, you can divide it 50 ways. Well, Prabhupada took care of his family, even after, immediate family, after he became a sannyasi even, and when he was Paramahamsa Guru traveling all over the world, and before he left, he left stipend for them in his will. And that was always being paid out. Because it's Bhagavatam, a 7th canto, in the last chapter, speaking about ideal life, indicates that one should be careful to maintain one's family members properly. Even if one's completely detached, internally, externally, one should maintain them emotionally and physically and every other way. So how do you decide which ones? Definitely not the ones that are inimical. There's some lady. Anyway, there's a lot of stories. I just Prabhupada's example, and the ones that you're directly responsible for. Any other things?
But is it, if you see the ISKCON in such today, 50% donation, we don't see that.
In ISKCON today, we don't see people giving 50% of their income.
Even 2% is hard.
Even 2% is hard. And so is that a question or a statement?
I'm just curious, is it practical to do?
Is it practical to do? Well, I've seen some people do it, but not very many. And it also depends on circumstances as well. Some people are grihastas, they're earning money, but they're using every waking minute to spread Krishna consciousness. You know, if we see from the example here, there's a way in which Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, they divided it at the end, right before they left, and they gave it. So there may be different circumstances through which it is practical. It may not be a formula that everybody can immediately follow, but we do see that in Grihastha communities, especially when devotees are able to give and encouraged to give, they become happier. The more yajnas there are where Grihasthas can give money, because they do have money, the more it relieves them of the burden of thinking that, you know, I have to keep this and grow it. And so that is a matter of realization. You know, people can do by realization, and the more we give facility for people to give for spreading Krishna consciousness, the more they can give. At least that's what I find. And they can come more and more to that realization. You were going to say?
Sometimes we spend a lot of money from our salaries in teaching.
Sometimes you spend a lot of money on salaries from preaching, for preaching.
Fuel for the car, the prasadam, for book distribution. So
Book distribution, prasadam.
if everything in bulk is counted like that, it would be more than at least 10%.
If you counted it up, it would be more than 10%. Well, that's good. And that's what I'm talking about. If there's yajna in the community where everyone has an opportunity to give towards that and also give their time and energy, I mean, you know, how do you calculate it? Like for taxes in America, if you have an automobile and you're using it for certain, you can count the depreciation, and there's different things. If you're using everything in service, then
In India, we pay road tax also. So every time we cross a road, we have to pay some 100 rupees, 50 rupees.
so in India the tax man is after you at every point. Prabhu?
I had this question always that the savings of Rupa Goswami was huge, and it's like a final settlement.
The savings was
It's not
huge,
like-
and there was a
not
final
like Every
settlement.
month he has got some salary and he was doing it.
You're saying it's not that.
It's not that every month.
Yeah, it's not that every month he
Some
was.
places it's been stressed by Prabhupada, and some of the devotees take extreme this thing and quote this as a general
Although some people quote
absolute-
that you should.
as an absolute rule.
Are they doing it?
No.
The ones who quote it?
No. What I mean to say is, the scenario also looks like it is a final settlement where he has a huge savings.
No, but I'm asking the ones that you're saying are quoting it as an absolute principle. Are they giving 50%?
No, they can't give because it's a one-time salary or one-time earning. Vazat is the lifetime savings.
Well, you said there were some devotees that were insisting that you had to give 50%
Yes.
every month.
Yeah.
I'm asking if they were giving 50% every
No.
month. Then, first they can give 50% and then they can come and get uptight at everybody else.
So my question is it really a Prabhupada's instruction that somebody has to give 50%, or is it the...
Well, Prabhupada did say that. He said they should give 50%, but now we see Sanatan gave it at the end. And other people, I've seen some people that were able to give a large portion of their income. So a lot of times we take these instructions, and you have to see how you can apply it. Even Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says you should think of me constantly out of love. And if you can't do that, practice devotional service in such a way that you'll come to that point. If you can't do that, then work for me. If you can't do that, be charitable to others. If you can't do that, cultivate knowledge and detachment, meditate, things like that. So when we're given an ideal instruction, it's for our ultimate good, so we have to figure out how to apply it. In certain circumstances, what we're just saying is some people may not be able to apply it and still do the service that they're doing or have a roof over their head. That may not be practical. So it's a matter of discussion and realization. But if you can do it, you can try to do that and see what happens. It'll definitely, I mean, there's no harm in it, and it's something that Prabhupada did say about giving 50%.
It makes sense when they were all together, like the previous, the ISKCON, when ISKCON started, when all the devotees were together staying in the temple. They used to give 100%. Prabhupada used to refer them as sannyasis in the mode of goodness. In the Bhagavad Gita, renunciation in the mode of goodness, he quotes that, saying the devotees were perfectly renouncing because they were working and giving 100% to the temple.
Yeah.
So, that way, that could be applicable and very possible. Otherwise, it's really a challenge.
Yes. Even grahastas used to live in a grahasta ashram that was maintained by the temple, and then they would just take a little bit of DM, devotee maintenance, to buy a toothbrush or something like that. And then, basically they were just working constantly. And that's how Prabhupada managed, even in the BBT. He didn't pay salaries or things like that.
Alex has a question.
Alex has a question.
Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for Paramahamsa devotees.
Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for Paramahamsa devotees.
What should we do if we are not Paramahamsas?
What should we do if we're not Paramahamsas? Well, the advice given in the Srimad Bhagavatam is that one should follow in the footsteps of Paramahamsas. Bejure munio tagre bhagavantam adhoksajam sattvam vishuddham shemaya kalpante yenutani ha. If you follow in the footsteps of great souls, then you're also eligible for the same result. So Prabhupada says in the story of Dhruva Maharaj that Dhruva Maharaj set an example for everybody. We can't imitate him, but we can follow in his footsteps. And Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Instruction that there's a way in which each person can give their energy to devotional service according to how they receive it from their guru, from the acharya, and how they can practically apply it. Like in the Nectar of Instruction, in the Nectar of Devotion, it's mentioned by Rupa Goswami that Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya means that you should serve Bhagavatam constantly, 24 hours a day. You should always hear and chant. But then both Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami say that if you tell that to neophyte devotees, that you have to do this 24 hours a day, then they'll quit because they can't do it. So he said in that case, Nityam means at least every day that you should apply it. And then how much every day? According to what you can handle. Swe swe adhikarya nishta saguna parikirtita. Lord Krishna tells Uddhava in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam that if you act according to your present qualification, this is a guna, or good quality. Viparyo to dosha syad, and the opposite is true. If you try to do more than you're qualified for, it's a fault. So you have to act according to what you can handle in devotional service. Did that answer the question? Can't even remember who asked it.
Alex.
Alex, okay. Okay, a few more verses. Is everyone okay?
One question.
Yes, another question.
How did we decide?
How do we decide?
Enough service, like Adhikar you said.
How do we decide if we're doing enough service?
Are we doing more or less? How do we?
Well, the rule is, if you're getting more energy and empowerment from your service, then that your service is well balanced. If you're finding it draining and you're not able to keep up and you become overwhelmed, then this needs adjustment. Prabhupada mentions this in the 8th canto of the Bhagavatam in the story of Gajendra, when he says that Gajendra was an animal of the land and the crocodile was an animal of the water. And normally elephants are stronger than crocodile on the land, but not in the water. So Prabhupada takes the story and he shows that this means also that devotees have to be in a natural state. Means they have to be able to have sensory strength and health and the right state of mind. It indicates that if somebody's not qualified for one ashram, it doesn't mean they're not qualified for another ashram. So sometimes people, he mentions there, they take sannyas but they can't handle it. He said that doesn't mean you should give up devotional service. So this is an indication of this principle that you have to find the position in which you can go on serving in a natural state so that you can increase and feel naturally enlivened. Otherwise, if you're doing too much, you become overwhelmed and your strength will be drained. Artificial state never gives the result that you're looking for. Yes?
So, like you said, that artificial state will not...
Artificial state will not give the result, yeah.
So, sometimes thinking about the natural state,
Thinking about natural state,
we become complacent.
we become complacent.
So, how do we... Like, it's a very thin line.
Well, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, commenting on the verse, said it's like climbing a ladder. And the ladder has rungs. So you put one foot on the rung, and when you feel that it's solidly there and you won't slip, then you move to the next rung. So he says, if you run up the ladder too fast, you can slip and fall. He said, but if you go too slow, then your advancement will be distant. So he said that you have to find the happy medium to make sure that you're moving up the ladder when you can. And nobody should claim to be permanently disqualified. Because some people say that, oh, it's impossible to become advanced. Everyone's forever not advanced. But that's not Lord Chaitanya's philosophy. Nor was it Srila Prabhupada's. It's not the philosophy of the Bhagavatam. Every living entity, no matter from what position, can become a pure devotee by chanting Hare Krishna and applying the principles. Otherwise, what's the use of it? Why would you do it if you can't come to the perfection? If you can't reach the goal of a practice, what is the use of the sadhana if you can't reach the sadhya? So we have to, really be aware of plateaus and see that we're not becoming complacent, because that can lead to niyamagraha. I'm just performing devotional service, going through the motions, or I have to see if I'm developing ulterior motives. Like I'm doing it because I'm getting something material out of it. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, it's not just chanting Hare Krishna, but it's chanting Hare Krishna and weeding out the unwanted plants that grow up along with the creeper. So, the answer to the question really is that we have to be vigilant. And often the best remedy for this is good association. Because in good association, especially putting ourselves in a position where we're open to being instructed. There's oftentimes, let me just say, it's human nature to not want to be instructed. So I know everything. So better to be open to be instructed and take some kind of guidance from people who are more advanced. Yes?
It's mentioned that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered Rupa Goswami.
Here it's mentioned that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered Rupa Goswami
And Sanatana Goswami.
and Sanatana Goswami.
With Radha Krishna pastimes were revealed to them.
And Radha Krishna pastimes were revealed to them.
So similarly, even Prabhupada
And similarly, Prabhupada was empowered
Because we say, no, he is a Shakti Avesha Avatar.
because we say he's a Shakti Vesha avatar.
Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
So when we see that there are so many speakers, those who speak about Bhagavatam.
So many speakers that speak about Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita.
So they some devotees, they speak so nicely. They quote from the Shastras.
Some devotees speak so nicely, they quote from Shastras.
So are they they need not study shlokas 100 times to by heart there. So it's natural for them to learn the shlokas. And
Natural
so
for some people to
are they Nitya
remember all the
Siddha?
shlokas. Are they Nitya Siddha?
Siddhas, are they specially empowered by the Lord?
Well, it really depends because there are professional Bhagavatam speakers who are really expert at speaking. They know the Leela, they know shlokas, and they can also be dramatic, but they're also not devotees. Afterwards, Prabhupada mentions, and I've heard this from my godbrother Shamasundar, who said he saw some of these and then they'd be backstage smoking a bidi. And they can't control their senses. So Rupa Goswami starts by describing the path of devotional service, Vacho Vegam, Manasakrota Vegam, Jihva Vegam, Udarapasta Vegam. And I just listened to Prabhupada when I was getting ready, and he was saying the path to yoga starts with yama niyam. You have to have rules and regulations. You have to actually control your senses. So empowerment comes from following the order of the Lord. Prabhupada writes in the second chapter of the second canto of the Bhagavatam that the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a manifestation of his internal potency. And it is from that internal potency that one comes to see the Lord face to face. So one may be a medasa, very intelligent, very expert at memorizing things, but if he's not a devotee, then his display is rather useless. What are you drawing? Are you writing something or drawing? Are you writing a book? Is it a book or shloka? Okay. We'll check it out later. So, Shastra says, Nayamatma pravachanena labhyo na medhayana bahuna shutena yami vaisha vrinute tena labhjas tashaisha esha vrinute tanum shvam. The Lord reveals himself to those whom he chooses, and it's you know, some pure devotees they're illiterate, you know, they can't even write their own name. But the symptom of pure devotees are mentioned in the Shastras: Titikshava karunika suridasa rabadihinam ajatra shatrava shanta saravasham bhushanaha. That they're decorated with all good qualities. So it's not that if somebody can memorize shlokas or something like that, they have great intelligence, they're great speakers, that they're pure devotees. Pure devotee means one who's completely attached to Krishna and who's always thinking of Krishna. And of course those are things that we see manifest in their outward activities. Verifiable symptoms means that, as Madhvacharya says, some devotees show external symptoms and others don't. But all pure devotees show two symptoms, and that is, one is their speech is always merciful and is directed towards awakening people to Krishna consciousness. And the second is that they're always steady in their service. They're attached to service and they're always doing devotional service. Okay, a couple more verses. Are you ready? Yes? You're really good hearers. You hear so with such enthusiasm. Text 18. When Sanatana Goswami was studying Srimad Bhagavatam in the assembly of learned Brahmanas, one day the Nawab of Bengal and another person suddenly appeared. Purport: the full name of Nawab of Bengal, Hussain Shah, was Alauddina Sayyida Hussain Shah Sharipa Makkah, and he ruled Bengal for 23 years. from 1420 to 1443, Shakabda era. That's AD 1498 to 1521. Sanatana Goswami was studying Srimad Bhagavatam with the scholars in the year 1424. That's AD 1502. Where were all of you at that time? As soon as all the Brahmanas and Sanatana Goswami saw the Nawab appear, they all stood up and respectfully gave him a sitting place to honor him. Purport: although Nawab Hussain Shah was a Mlecha Yavana, he was nonetheless the governor of the country, and the learned scholars and Sanatana Goswami offered him all the respect due a king or a governor. When a person occupies an exalted executive post, one should consider that he has acquired the grace of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Yad yad vimutimat sattvam srimad urjitame vava tattadeva vagacha tvam mamate chom shashambhavam. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. Whenever we see something exalted, we must consider it part of the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A powerful man, vibhuti-mat sattvam, is one who has obtained the grace of the Lord or has derived some power from him. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.10, Krishna says, Tejas tejas vinamaham. I am the power of the powerful. The learned Brahmana scholars showed respect to Nawab Hussain Shah because he represented a fraction of Krishna's power. 20. Raj kahe, Tomar stane bhaija paitul, Vaidya kahe, Vyadhi nahi, Shustate dehilum. The Nawab said, I sent my physician to you, and he has reported that you are not diseased. As far as he could see, you are completely healthy. I am depending on you to carry out so many of my activities, but you have given up your governmental duties to sit here at home. You have spoiled all my activities. What is your intention? Please tell me frankly. Sanatana Goswami replied, you can no longer expect any service from me. Please arrange for someone else to tend to the management. Becoming angry with Sanatana Goswami, the Nawab said, your elder brother is acting just like a plunderer. By killing many living entities, your elder brother has destroyed all Bengal. Now here you are destroying all my plans. Sanatana Goswami said, you are the supreme ruler of Bengal and are completely independent. Whenever someone commits a fault, you punish him accordingly. Hearing this, the Nawab of Bengal stood up and returned to his home. He ordered the arrest of Sanatana Goswami so that he would not be able to leave. Purport: it is said that the relationship between the Nawab of Bengal and Sanatana Goswami was very intimate. The Nawab used to consider Sanatana Goswami his younger brother, and when Sanatana Goswami showed a very strong intention to resign, the Nawab, feeling familial affection, essentially said, I am your elder brother, but I do not look after state management. My only business is attacking other states with my soldiers and fighting everywhere as a plunderer. Because I am a meat-eater, Yavana, I am used to hunting all kinds of living beings. In this way, I am destroying all kinds of living entities in Bengal. While engaged in this destructive business, I am hoping that you will tend to the administration of the state. Since I, your elder brother, am engaged in such a destructive business, you, being my younger brother, should look after the state management. If you do not, how will things continue? This talk was based on a family relationship, and Sanatana Goswami also replied in an intimate and joking way. Essentially, he told the Nawab, my dear brother, you are the independent ruler of Bengal. You can act in whatever way you like. And if someone commits a fault, you can punish him accordingly. In other words, Sanatana Goswami was saying that since the Nawab was accustomed to acting like a plunderer, he should go ahead and take action. Since Sanatana was not showing much enthusiasm for performing his duty, the Nawab should dismiss him from his service. The Nawab could understand the intention of Sanatana Goswami's statement. He therefore left in an angry mood and ordered Sanatana Goswami's arrest. At this time, the Nawab was going to attack the province of Orissa, and he told Sanatana Goswami, "Come along with me." Purport: Hussein Shah attacked the neighboring province of Orissa in 1424 Shakabda era. At that time, he conquered the feudal princes there. Sanatana Goswami replied, "You are going to Orissa to give pain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For this reason, I am powerless to go with you." The Nawab again arrested Sanatana Goswami and kept him in prison. At this time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed for Vrindavan from Jagannath Puri. The two persons who went to Jagannath Puri to inquire about the Lord's departure returned and informed Rupa Goswami that the Lord had already departed for Vrindavan. Upon receiving this message from his two messengers, Rupa Goswami immediately wrote a letter to Sanatana Goswami saying that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had departed for Vrindavan. In his letter to Sanatana Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami wrote, "We two brothers are starting out to go see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You must also somehow or other get released and come and meet us." Purport: The two brothers herein mentioned are Rupa Goswami and his younger brother Anupam Malik. Rupa Goswami was informing Sanatana Goswami that he should join him and his younger brother. Rupa Goswami further informed Srila Sanatana Goswami, "I have left a deposit of 10,000 coins with the grocer. Use that money to get out of prison. Somehow or other, get yourself released and come to Vrindavan." After writing this, the two brothers, Rupa and Anupam, went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rupa Goswami's younger brother was a great devotee whose actual name was Sri Ballabha. He was given the name Anupam Malik, Sri Rupa Goswami and Anupam Malik went to Prayag, and they were very pleased to hear the news that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there. At Prayag, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see the temple of Bindu Madhava, and many hundreds of thousands of people followed him just to meet him. Some of the people following the Lord were crying, some were laughing, some were dancing, and some were chanting. Indeed, some of them were rolling on the ground, exclaiming, "Krishna, Krishna." Prayag is located at the confluence of two rivers, the Ganges and the Prayag is located at the confluence of two rivers, the Ganges and the Jamuna. Although these rivers were not able to flood Prayag with water, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inundated the whole area with waves of ecstatic love for Krishna. Seeing the great crowd, the two brothers remained standing in a secluded place. They could see that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was ecstatic to see Lord Bindu Madhava. The Lord was loudly chanting the holy name of Hari, dancing in ecstatic love and raising his arms. He asked everyone to chant, "Hari, Hari!"
Hari, Hari.
Everyone was astounded to see the greatness of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, I cannot properly describe the pastimes of the Lord at Prayag. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had made an acquaintance with a Brahmana from Deccan in South India, and that Brahmana invited him for meals and took him to his place. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting in a solitary place in the home of that Deccan Brahmana, Rupa Goswami and Sri Ballabha Anupam Malik came to meet him. Seeing the Lord from a distance, the two brothers put two clumps of straw between their teeth and immediately fell down on the ground like rods, offering him obeisances. Both brothers were overwhelmed with ecstatic emotion, and reciting various Sanskrit verses, they stood up and fell down again and again. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased to see Srila Rupa Goswami, and he told him, stand up, my dear Rupa, come here." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said, "It is not possible to describe Krishna's mercy, for he has delivered you both from the well of material enjoyment." Lord Krishna said, "Even though a person is a very learned scholar of the Sanskrit Vedic literatures, if he is not accepted as my devotee unless he is in pure devotional service, he is not accepted as a devotee unless he is pure in devotional service. Even though a person is born in a family of dog eaters, he is very dear to me if he is a pure devotee who has no motive to enjoy fruitive activities or mental speculation. Indeed, all respect should be given to him, and whatever he offers should be accepted. Such devotees are as worshipable as I am." This verse is included in the Hari Bhakti Vilas 10.127, compiled by Sanatana Goswami. After reciting this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced the two brothers, and out of his causeless mercy, he placed his feet on their heads. After receiving the Lord's causeless mercy, the two brothers folded their hands and in great humility offered the following prayers to the Lord. What are the prayers? Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradvishe Namaha. O most magnificent incarnation, you are Krishna himself, appearing as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden color of Srimati Radharani, and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. We offer our respectful obeisances unto that merciful Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has converted all three worlds, which were maddened by ignorance, and saved them from their diseased condition by making them mad with the nectar from the treasure house of love of God. Let us take full shelter of that Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, whose activities are wonderful. This verse is found in the Govinda Lila Amrita. What else did you hear on that last section?
Sanatana Goswami was checked upon by his master, and he was not ill. So his master was upset.
Yes, he was there with 30 or 40 brahmanas,
Reading Bhagavatam. So his
just
master
hearing
arrested him.
Bhagavatam. So that's a good way to go. Just call in sick. Any other things? Yes.
Without the sanction of the Lord, nobody can be act as a representative or a leader in the society. So
Yes. It's an interesting point. Yad yad vibhudivat sattvam shrimad urjitami bhava. The point was that they respected the Nawab, even though he was a meat eater and so on and whatnot, because somehow or other he was empowered to have that position. So they respected it as a vibhuti coming from Krishna. So they showed respect, gave him a seat of honor and so forth. Nice point. Any other things? They went to Prayag and they met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami and Anupam. He put his lotus feet on their heads and gave them instructions.
Writings.
Yeah.
And they prayed and sang Namo.
And then they offered prayers to the Lord. They put straw in their mouth. They fell down and got back up.
This straw in the mouth indicates that they're humble.
Yeah, so it's a tradition in Bengal, or Orissa actually, in Bengal and Orissa, that if somebody did something really bad and everybody had heard about it or not, but to become rectified, the person would put straw in his mouth and he'd go door to door. And he would just submit himself. And the straw in the mouth means that you can't talk, Because normally, when you've done something, you want to rectify it, and he comes that, you know, it wasn't really my fault. It was, you know, the sun got in my eyes, dog ate my homework. There's all kinds of excuses to make to try to justify one's activities. So when you have straw in your mouth, you don't say anything. You just take everyone chastise you. You just say, you know, you're the lowest of the low, and you just take it. Huh? You don't justify anything. No justification. So that then you can become purified of your offense by submitting yourself like that. So it's amazing that the highly placed, I mean, Prabhupada mentions frequently how it is that people have a hard time giving up whatever kind of situation they have in the material world. What to speak of somebody who's got the best job you can possibly get and have power and everything like that. And it's indicative of the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that as soon as they saw him, they immediately gave up and said, that's it, we're out. And this is the early Christian movement, because one of the reasons it spread, even though Rome was so much against the early Jesus movement, they tried to stop it in every way they could. One of the ways they did was they'd kill people who were found to be part of the movement. But they saw that these people were willing to die for their belief. The pain of giving up their faith was greater than dying. And so when people saw that, they started thinking maybe there's something here. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's followers, who were all these aristocrats like Raghunath Das Goswami and Rupa and Sanatan, when they surrendered, of course, all of them, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, it obviously made a big impression, and still does, that just the vision of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his transcendental charisma and his teachings are so compelling that from any situation, or from being very wealthy and having everything, people would give up everything. It's a great impetus, isn't it? Tyakva turnam ashesha mandalapati shrenim sadatu chava. It all became insignificant. Any comments from there? Is anybody watching online? Hare Krishna. Makanachor. How nice is that? Who else? Mukharavinda. Hare Krishna. Wow. All my favorite people in the world. Who? The Tradas? The one and only famous Tradas? Hare Krishna Tradas Prabhu. My obeisances. Sachi. Fantastic. Well, we got in today from, where were we? Mumbai. We're here in Bangalore. Bengaluru. We flew from San Francisco to New Jersey, stopped over there, then we got back on another plane, 14-hour flight, and then we got into Mumbai last night, stayed in the Mumbai airport overnight, and we flew this morning on Air India to Bengaluru. It's only an hour and 20-minute flight. I was surprised. And we were greeted here by some demigods and in a heavenly place known as Bengaluru, where the people are all pious, the weather is like heaven. And we're going to be doing seminars here in Bangalore, my old stomping grounds, tomorrow and the next day, and then we're going to go to Melkote to see Lord Nrsingadev up on the hill. And we're going to see Chelu Narayan Swami. And we're going to ask for blessings there to protect all the devotees in the Sankirtan movement and help everybody in North America to rise to the occasion to do bigger in 2020 in book distribution than they've ever done before, with a 5-year plan to beat India. That's why we're here. We're trying to get India to do twice as big, so they'll have more to shoot for. So thank you for joining online to hear the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're going to sign off for now because devotees have to take rest to get up for the morning program and for the beginning of the seminars tomorrow in the evening.
Seminars are on Saturday.
Yeah, but it's the precursor. It's the meetings. The meetings are the most, with the leaders is the most important part. Because if they don't agree to this, then there's no point to trying anyway. Thank you very much, everyone. Vanchakalpadurvishcha kripasinabheva chapatitanam pavam.
Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, hey, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman.